Webcams remain an important component in most PC and laptop setups, so in this video, I'd like to show you two webcams that were kindly sent out to me by the company OBSBOT, and those cameras are the Meet 4K and the Tiny 2. The Meet 4K is a portable little webcam with a 1/2.8-inch Sony sensor that supports up to 4K recording at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second. It offers HDR effects, AI auto framing, customizable virtual backgrounds, bokeh effects, and a dual omnidirectional microphone which boasts noise reduction. It really does pack a lot of features and performance into a small package, and at the time of recording, it is currently available for around £199 in the UK and $149 in the USA. A 1080p version of the camera called the Meet is also available for a little less. The overall package for the Meet 4K is generous. In addition to the camera itself, it includes a soft pouch for storage, a webcam mount, a lens cap, a 1.5 meter Type-C to Type-C cable, a Type-C to Type-A adapter, and a user manual. The Tiny 2 is a little larger than the Meet 4K, but as its name suggests, it is still portable. The webcam uses a 1/1.5-inch CMOS sensor and supports up to 4K recording at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second. The Tiny 2 is a pan-tilt zoom webcam, or PTZ webcam, which means that you can move the webcam in any direction and change where the camera sensor is pointing. It offers dual native ISO, HDR video, autofocus, auto tracking, hands-free voice control, and much more. This camera is the more expensive of the two OBSBOT cameras, and at the time of recording it is currently available for around £329 in the UK and around $329 in the USA. Like the Meet 4K, the overall package of the Tiny 2 is fantastic. When you open the box up, you'll see the user manual and an impressive hard storage case with the camera and all accessories are stored. The case contains a thick 1.5 meter Type-C to Type-C connection cable, a Type-C to Type-A adapter, a webcam mount, and the versatile Tiny 2 web camera itself. My first impressions of the Meet 4K's hardware were positive. It looks like a small action camera, and as the included mount is magnetic, you can easily position the camera on top of a monitor or laptop in whatever position you like. A tripod thread can be found on its base too, which allows you to connect the camera to tripods, selfie sticks, and other accessories. The Tiny 2 also has this feature, so you can choose to mount it using the included magnetic mount or position it using its tripod thread. The Tiny 2 is more expensive than the Meet 4K, and that is something that is apparent when you open the box and you're greeted with a high quality storage case and a gorgeous web camera that has a premium finish. In comparison to other webcams in the market, both the Meet 4K and Tiny 2K are a little smaller. Between the OBSBOT cameras, the Tiny 2 is a little larger than the Meet 4K and looks more like a small conferencing web camera instead of an action camera. With the Meet 4K, you can enable auto framing by pressing the main button on top of the camera. Pressing the button twice will switch the virtual background on and off, whilst holding for 3 seconds will activate and deactivate sleep mode. Several accessories are available for the Meet 4K, such as the Meet remote controller, a UVC to HDMI adapter, a 360 degrees conferencing microphone, and a switch cable that simplifies turning the camera on and off. In contrast to the Meet 4K, there are no buttons on the Tiny 2. Instead, the Tiny 2 supports a list of voice commands and hand gestures so that you can control the camera with ease. A dedicated remote control is also available for the Tiny 2 that includes a presentation clicker and multi-camera support. OBSBOT also sell an extendable tripod for their webcams that extends from 200mm all the way up to 780mm. All OBSBOT web cameras are USB video class devices, which is sometimes referred to as UVC. This means that their webcams will work with Windows, Mac, Linux, Unix, Android, and more. Whilst their cameras do support most platforms, the software OBSBOT Center is only available for Mac and Windows. So if you're a Linux user, for example, You will need to update firmware manually via a provided bin file. Additionally, you will not be able to take advantage of all the tools their official app offers. So let's do a simple video and audio test to see what the Meet 4K and Tiny 2 are capable of. Right now I'm recording with the Meet 4K. It's sitting on top of my monitor and it's recording the video that you're watching and the audio that you're listening to. There is an overhead microphone here on the camera, but it's not what's recording the audio just now. The audio is being recorded with the Meet 4K. So with regards to video, with regards to the image, I'm recording at 4K at 30 frames per second natively, and lighting is quite good in this room. I have my lights on, and this is what you can expect if you're using natural light or you've got some lights in the room. It's a little bit darker in the corner here, but this is what's being recorded out of the box. And it really is out of the box just now. I haven't manipulated the colours, the image, the exposure, anything like that. These are things you probably should do, but this is what you can expect if you simply plug the web camera into your computer, laptop or tablet. Now if I turn the lights off, I've still got some lights on in the background here, but you can see that even in low light, the Meet 4K, I think it does okay. I've used a lot of web cameras that are simply awful when it's low light. This seems to be doing okay. You can still see me. It's not the worst image in the world, but ideally you do want to adjust the colors if you don't have lighting, and if you do have lighting, obviously everything will look a lot better. Now with regards to the image, you can use OBSBOT Center if you have a Mac or a Windows computer. And there's lots of options here for auto framing, virtual backgrounds. There's different presets for how zoomed in you are. You can manipulate the image as well. There's HDR, which is not going to look good right now, but with as you can see, it's a little bit too overblown because of the way my lights are set up, but there's options there for HDR, focus, exposure, anti-flicker, white balance, image, and there's lots of beauty filters as well. So if you do want to make that image look better, you can do it via OBSBOT Center. Now I will publish a dedicated video about that so you can see all of those options and just see what you can do with the image. But for now I just wanted to show you this. This is what you get out of the box. Now with regards to audio, I'm in my office and it's fairly quiet in here. There's not a lot of noise in this room, but about a foot away from the Meet 4K and Tiny 2 is my PC right here. And my PC, I'll get the camera adjusted again, it's a little bit slanty now, but my PC has about 10 fans. Now the fans are not going crazy, they're fairly low, but there is fan noise and you should be able to hear that in this video, especially if you've got good earphones on. You should be able to hear some fan noise. Now, with regards to the audio, I'm recording with OBS just now. I don't have any low-cut noise filters on, noise suppression, nothing, nothing is in there to manipulate the audio. So what you see, what you hear, good or bad, is what you can expect with the Meet 4K. Same goes for post-production. I'm not going to manipulate and try and make the audio sound better than what it is, good or bad. This is just what you can expect when you use the Meet 4K. But I do have to put an asterisk on all of that because in OBSBOT Center there is an option for noise reduction. Now there's no EQ, there's no suppressor, there's no compressor, there's not all those like additional audio options that you would maybe expect in some audio tools. There's simply a button that says noise reduction, on or off, and it's kind of on by default. But I want to put it off for a second to let you guys hear what it sounds like now with the noise reduction off. Now when the noise reduction is off, the vocals don't sound as good. You will hear a little bit more of the fan noise to the side of me, and if I turn that noise reduction back on, you'll get a better idea as to how that is helping. It's making my voice sound a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. It's not going to eliminate all the noise in the room, but it is a useful option. Now, for some of you, you might want to disable noise reduction so that you can handle noise reduction yourself using a plugin, using your recording software, maybe in post-production. But it's really good that that option is there because it means that if you jump into a Zoom call or a Teams call, you don't have to mess about with settings. As long as that is enabled, that noise reduction will be applied. So I am now recording with the Tiny 2. It's sitting on top of my monitor next to the Meet 4K, and it's recording the video that you're watching and the audio that you're listening to. Once again, the overhead microphone here is not being used to record audio. It's all going through the Tiny 2. Now, there's a few things that you'll notice right away after coming from the Meet 4K. One is the angle. It's a little bit more cropped in here. We don't have the same wide angle that you get with the Meet 4K. And the second thing that I noticed was image quality. Now, I was really impressed with the Meet 4K because I thought it did well in comparison to other webcams. But the Tiny 2 is a major step up in image quality. And all of a sudden, you're not looking at other webcams. You're starting to compare the Tiny 2 to dedicated cameras and camcorders. I really do think it is that good. And once again, I have not manipulated the image here. I've not adjusted any colors here. This is what you get out of the box when you connect the Tiny 2 to your desktop computer or to your laptop, to your tablet. It's quite versatile. It does work with many different devices. So with regards to the image quality, we do have autofocus again, but whereas the Meet 4K just kind of stayed on you, this will focus on things a little better, and it will zoom in and out to give you, if I get it better here, hide my face, it will focus onto something on camera, and then when you take it away, it will zoom back onto you. So there's not a lot of searching there. It does look quite good, and that's something maybe a lot of YouTubers would like, that you can show something to the camera, it will zoom in very quickly, and then zoom back out very quickly as well. So that's really good. And also with regards to lighting, once again, when the lights are off, you can see what it looks like. So it's not completely dark in here. We do still have a little bit of light in the background here, but in my opinion, it looks amazing. You could almost get away with this kind of lighting in videos, you know, if you've got yourself cropped up in the corner. We don't have all the lights on here, but the image quality is incredibly impressive in my opinion. This is really, really solid. So if I put the lights back on, like so, everything shall adjust again. So once again, things can be adjusted, things can be improved. You know, you might not be in natural light, you might not have lighting, so you might have to adjust the image more. Now, in OBSBOT Center, the Tiny 2 has many more options, which is to be expected because we've got so many more options now for tracking, for moving the camera around, which I'll show you in a second. And we've got different options, you know, all those the same options there as far as the angle, but we've got different options here with regards to the tracking, upper body, and different things like that as well. Some of these options are available for the Meet 4K, but there's many more options here. Once again, you can manipulate the image. You can put on HDR, which I suspect is going to be, yeah, not a major difference there in my opinion this time compared to last time. You've got autofocus, you've got exposure, you've got anti-flicker, white balance, image. All those same options are there. The beauty mode is there as well. Now, one of the things that obviously the Tiny 2 is known for is pan, tilt, zoom. And I can use this option here. I'll just show you here for a second to move the camera. So I can go like this and zoom all the way around like that. And I'll just hide it for a second so you can see the full image. That's my Sony camera. And I can go all the way around. And you can see that when I am moving things around like this, it's kind of out of focus because it's moving around. That makes sense. But if I click the reset button, it goes all the way back to default. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm not using this for conferencing. This is kind of a pointless feature. This is not something I'm going to use. But this is incredibly useful. Just look at the situation here where I have got a big, ugly overhead microphone above me. You do not want that in the shot. So what can you do? Well, you can go back to the view here and you can simply bring it down and there you go. You have now cropped the image. You have now hidden something you don't want to see. You've now positioned the webcam in the perfect position and you don't have to start messing about with the mount, with the stand. You don't have to do anything. The Tiny 2 just has that option of putting the camera in the perfect position. And you know, some people might look at these pan, tilt, zoom webcams as gimmicky. That is incredibly useful. And I must admit, I'm really growing to love this camera because of that option alone, because there's always some things that are in shot that you don't want to show. So very, very useful to have those kind of options. And, you know, the Tiny 2 does have some other things up its sleeve in the software, like desk mode. You can position the camera all the way down. You don't want to see down there, but you can show your hand as well. It's got whiteboard and group and different options like that. So it's pretty cool that you've got those options, and then you can click reset And I can put the camera back down like that. So really, really flexible. Now, once again, I have been recording the audio using the noise reduction that's in the software. But if I go over here, you'll see that there's a few more options this time. We've got an option to disable microphone, automatic gain control, and you can see that there's noise reduction weak. Now, if you actually select it here, you have noise reduction off, weak, medium, and strong. What I'm going to do just now is I'm going to put the noise reduction off, so no noise reduction has been applied. I just want to move the camera a little bit, not too much, but just enough to let you hear what it sounds like when the camera is moving around. And now I'm going to go back. I'm going to put it to medium. So now I'm using medium noise reduction, and this is what you can expect when medium noise reduction has been applied. And once again, I'm just going to move the camera around to see how much of that zoom noise is being, well, not zoom noise, the pan and tilt noise is there, because that's something it does come up with other webcams. And then finally, we have strong noise reduction, And I'll hide this for a second. I'll do a little bit more panning, tilting, moving things around, just to give you an idea of that. So strong noise reduction has now been applied. And this gives you an idea as to what the audio sounds like through the Tiny 2's microphones. Once again, you don't have to use these noise reduction tools if you don't want to. If you want, you can do it yourself using your recording software. You can do it in post-production. It's up to you. But I do like the fact that those options are there. And I do like the fact that the Tiny 2 gives you a little bit more extra control as to what happens with that noise reduction. So I have had these two OBSBOT webcams for about 2 months or so at this point. And I've done a lot of tests with them for the purpose of this review, but I've also used them in a few calls with my main PC and on my laptop, etc. as well. So I'm aware of what these cameras are capable of. Now, if you looked at the 2 clips there that I recorded with these cameras, you'll have an idea as to what the microphone quality is like. And what I would say about that is that, generally speaking, I don't like microphones in webcams. I'm just never impressed with them. They're always quite tinny. They're never the best option. And I would always recommend using a dedicated microphone or a headset like this, which, if I get it, it's got a little pull-out microphone. So I always think there's better options for microphones than using the one in a webcam. That being said, if you do want to use them, I thought that without the software, without the noise reduction, the audio wasn't great. But when you apply that noise reduction filter, that option, it does kind of raise the audio level, and it does reduce background noise as well. So it really does improve the audio quality. It still wouldn't be my go-to option for using as a microphone, but it's there if you want to use it. Now, out of these 2 webcams, for me, the start of the show was the Tiny 2. I was initially impressed with just how small it was, but once I get past that, I was just impressed with how good the image quality was. This just looked amazing out of the box, and it's probably the best webcam I've tested as far as image quality goes. I was really, really impressed with it. And if you're a content creator like myself, you probably have some, Sony cameras, Panasonic cameras, etc., like I have, hooked up to some capture cards. That's all good and well, and that's the best setup in many situations. But for content creators, these pan tilt zoom webcams are very, very useful. My cameras here are fixed in position, but there are some times where I do have to move them around so that you can't see something, or you can see something. And that's where this becomes so useful, because it's not fixed. It doesn't matter how I mount the Tiny 2, because I can move the camera exactly where I want. I can move that lens around, up and down, left and right, all around, and I can crop the image and all that as well. It's just so useful, and it's something that I've just been so impressed with. So I think if you're a content creator, you're a game streamer, anything like that, you're going to get a lot from that pan tilt zoom mechanism. And maybe if you just do conference calls a lot as well, that's something you'll find useful too, because it has that desk mode and it has that whiteboard mode as well. So very, very useful. I was just overall very impressed with that camera. The Meet 4K. The Meet 4K has got a wider field of view. It's a very small camera, and it's got that button at the top. It looks like an action camera, and if you push that button, you can, enable tracking, enable a virtual background if you press it twice. You hold it in and you can put it into sleep mode and you can turn it on, etc. So the little button's quite useful, very easy to use. What I would say about this though is that I thought it was a very good webcam, but I'm also acutely aware that in that $100 to $200 market, which is where this webcam is kind of situated, there's a lot more webcams out there. So it's a very competitive market in that 100 to 200 price range. So the Meet 4K does have some competition. In its defense, it does have OBSBOT Center. And just like the Tiny 2, I think the OBSBOT software does raise both cameras because it gives you so many extra options for tracking, for zooming, for cropping, for filters, for changing the colors, etc. So the software is a big plus for both of these webcams. Now, in this video and with all my videos, what I'm trying to do is just give you an honest opinion of what I think of something, an honest representation of my experience. But I think it's important for you guys to always do your research. So go out there, look at other reviews of this webcam, get second, third, fourth opinions from other content creators, from other reviewers, from other people that have bought these webcams, and that will help you make a decision as to whether these webcams are for you. That being said, to help you guys, I have published 2 other videos. I published a tutorial about how to use OBSBOT Center to get the most out of these webcams. And I published a video comparison between the OBSBOT Tiny 2, OBSBOT Meet 4K, my Sony a6500 and my older webcam, the Logitech Brio. So please do check out my OBSBOT Center tutorial and my 4K webcam comparison, and that will help you see how these OBSBOT cameras compare against some other options out there. So that will hopefully help you guys make a decision as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. As always, please do leave a comment below. I do love to hear from you guys. Please do post some feedback, and until next time, take care.